we are now on lesson number 7. So as you can see, lesson number 7 will focus on law of cosines. So law of cosines is also known as the cosine law. Hello, hello, hello. So here we go again. We are here going to discuss another lesson in math. But before we proceed to that, let me first share you something. So, have you already heard the song na pinapatugtog ng ABS, yung kanilang uh, station ID? So, di ba ang ganda ng message nung kata? It is stated there na, feel good Pilipinas. So, we have to feel good in spite of the negative things that is happening in the whole world right now, even in the Philippines. So, we still have to be positive. So lahat ng negativity na na-experience natin, so all we have to do is to just turn it into positive. So just positive, be positive or think positive that everything will be gone soon. Na lahat ng mga negative things na nangyayari sa ngayon ay mawawala na in the future. So hopefully very soon. Kaya ang sinasabi, di ba, we have to feel good Pilipinas. So, because of the things that is happening, so we have to still be positive in the things that we are experiencing. So, ano pang hinihintay natin? So, let's proceed now to our discussion for today. So, as I was telling you, we are here going to continue our discussion about triangle trigonometry. So, more specifically, we are now on lesson number 7. So, as you can see, lesson number 7 will focus on law of cosines. So, law of cosines is also known as the cosine law. So in last discussion natin, we focus our discussion on what we call law of sines, or also known as the sine law. So we also have what we call law of cosines, which is also known as the cosine law. So ano ba yung cosine law na tinatawag natin? So here, as you can see, this law is about cosine. So another trigonometric function is to be used in this lesson. So we are only going to focus here to the trigonometric function na tinatawag natin cosine. So ano nga ba yung law of cosines? So, to start with, sabi dito, law of cosines, if you do have a given oblique triangle, so we are going to let that the angles of the triangle be A, B, C, or we are letting A, B, and C be the angles of that triangle, and small letters A, B, and C be the sides opposite each of them respectively. Diba sabi, we made mention already that if you do have a given triangle, and if, for example, you name it as A, B, and C, so the angle A, ang katapat niya dapat ay side A. So, kapag side na pinag-uusapan natin, we use small letters, but if we are going to if we are pertaining to the angles, we are using capital letters. So kung A, ang angle mo, ang opposite niya ay side A. If your B is your angle, the opposite is side B, while your C is the angle, the opposite is side C. So let A, B, and C be the angles of the triangle, and A, B, and C, small letters A, B, and C be the sides opposite each of them respectively. Then, so this is not like law of sines na we are only going to apply one equation or one formula for us to find or to solve a problem which involves oblique triangles that we can make use of law of sines. In law of cosines, depending on what we are looking for, kung anong formula yung gagamitin natin. So what if we are looking for the side, for example. So if we are looking for the side and we want to make use of the law of sines, we can make use of these formulas. So if you are looking for side C, for example, so the side opposite angle C. So if you're looking for side C, you're going to make use of formula C squared is equal to A squared plus B squared minus 2AB cosine C. So dito nyo makikita yung trigonometric function na cosine. So if you're going to look at it, so if you're looking for C, side C, it will end up to angle C. So, saan yung marirecall to? It's just like para kang nagano, di ba, yung Pythagorean theorem. But may karagdagan, may karagdagan pa siya. So, yun dito yung part na to. Di ba? So, C squared is equal to A squared plus B squared. Siyempre, since C is what we are looking for, so that square of that side that we are looking for is equal to the sum of the squares of the other two sides. Then subtract it with twice the product of the other two sides, the measure of the other two sides, then multiply it with cosine C, which is the angle of nakatapat ng side na hinahanap natin. So, again, as I was mentioning to you, kapag start ng C, mag-end ng C. So, if the side is what we are looking for, nag-start ka ng small letter C, mag-end up ka ng capital letter C because that is the angle, cosine of that angle. While if we are going to look for A, side A, for example, so it will be A squared plus is equal to B squared plus C squared. So, laging plus yung operation natin dito. So, whatever side is what is you are looking for, so the square of that side is equal to the sum of the squares of the other two sides. Laging sum yun. Then subtract, ima-minus yun sa twice the product of the two sides, the other two sides, cosine of the angle opposite the side we are looking for. So nag-start ka ng A, mag-end up ka ng A. So start ka ng side A, mag-end up ka ng angle A. Then third, if you are looking for side B, for example, so it should be B squared is equal to A squared plus C squared, then minus 2AC cosine B. Started with side B, it will end up to angle B. So yung cosine ng trigonometric function, makikita natin on this part. Dito yon makikita dun sa formula natin dun sa pagkuha ng side of an oblique triangle with the use of the cosine law. So, iba-iba yung formula na pwede natin gamitin depending on the side that we are looking for. That's why we have to be aware kung anong side yung hinahanap natin. So, yung variable na ginamit natin dyan, subject to change yan depending on the variable being used in a given triangle. Kung ano yung variable na ginamit sa triangle, so yun yung gagamitin nyo rin on the formula na gagamitin mo to solve for the side. So this time, what if the angle is what we are looking for? So if the angle is what we are looking for, so if we do have three formulas for the side, we also have three formulas for the angle. Because a triangle has three angles, di ba? Three interior angles to be specific. So if we want to find out for angle C, for example, so to find out for angle C, that would be cosine C. So since we still don't know yet the measure of the angle, so we are going to use the name of the angle. So cosine of that angle is equal to A squared plus B squared, the square of the sum of the two sides which are not opposite of that angle, then minus the square of the side opposite the angle that we are looking for. Then all over twice the product of the measure of the two sides which are not opposite of the angle that we are looking for. So, when you are looking for C, for angle C, yun yung ima-minus mo, square of the side opposite that angle, ang ima-minus mo doon sa square of the sum of the squares of the two sides which are not opposite of the angle. Then on the denominator, twice of the measure of the sides which are not opposite of the angle. So that's what we are going to do. Ganun din, if we are going to follow the pattern there, that's also true on the other things that we are looking for if the angle is what we are going to find out. So let's say for another, we are looking for angle A. So it should be cosine A, since cosine A, because we still don't know yet the measure of angle A, that is what we are looking for. So B squared plus C squared, yung hindi niya katapat na side, square nun, square of the sum of it, then isubtract mo yung square of the side opposite that angle that we are looking for. Then over twice the product of the two sides which are not opposite of the angle that we are looking for. Then third, if you are looking for side or angle B, so we can make use of the formula cosine B is equal to, so since angle B is what we are looking for, so yung side na hindi niya ka-opposite ay A and C. So square of that, sum of the square of it, then subtract mo yung square nung katapat nung angle na hinahanap natin, which is B squared, all over twice the product of the two angles which are not opposite of that angle that we are looking for. So, ganun din, dapat alam natin on how we form the formula on finding the side and the angle. Again, yung mga variables involved in the formula are subject to change depending on uh, the name of the triangle that we are solving. So nakadepende yun doon. So ito, the name of the triangle that we are solving here based on the statement that we have presented earlier, we do have A, B, and C as the angles and small letters A, B, and C as the sides. That's why we come up with these formulas for the side and the angle. So the most important thing here is you must come up with the formula, the right formula to use in order for you to find out the correct answer in a given problem. But it's not always that you can make use law of cosines or cosine law in answering problems involving oblique triangles. Nakadepende on the given on what you are on if you are going to make use of cosine law. Ano dapat yung given natin? So sabi dito, use the formula if the given are. Again, use the formula or the cosine law. Formula for cosine law both for side and angle if the given are, una, two sides and an included angle. Or meron tayong, for example, given na SAS. So paano yun? For example, meron kang given two sides at isang angle. So dapat yung angle na given mo, dapat pinagigitnaan siya ng dalawang sides na yun for us to make use of law of cosines. Kasi kapag yung angle na yon ay may katapat do sa any two sides, ibig sabihin, we can make use of the law of sines. Di ba yung pinag-aralan natin the last time? Pero kapag yung angle na yon ay pinagkikita ng dalawang sides, so we can come up with SAS there. So two sides and an included angle. So if that is the given, then we can make use of the law of cosines. Another is three sides. If the given are three sides, so we can also make use of the two of law of cosines. So wala namang ganyan on law of sides, di ba? Sa law of sines, ang dapat given mo, dapat may katapat kahit isa man doon, di ba? So walang three sides doon. So ibig sabihin, you cannot make use, obviously, the law of sines when three sides are given. So obviously, you are going to make use of the law of cosines. So dito lang kayo medyo malilito. Pero hindi kayo malilito if you know, if you are just going to think of SAS. Dapat yung angle na given ay pinagigitnaan ng dalawang sides. So ito dapat yung maging given natin for us to make use the what we call law of cosines or the formulas that we presented in cosine law.
Okay, so let's apply those formulas now to examples. So let's have here example number 1. So take a look at the given triangle here. We do have here given triangle ABC with the given values for side A as 7 centimeter, side C as 5 centimeter, and angle B measures 60 degrees. So what you're going to do here is to find for side B. Kapag small letter, it should be the side. Then kapag capital letter, it's the angle. So side B for number 1, number 2, measure of angle A, number 3, measure of angle B. So for the sides, you are going to round off the answer to 2 decimal places. While for the angles, you are going to round it up to the nearest degree. The nearest degree tayo. So, di na natin siya specified na kung ano yung exact value measure of the angle. So basta nandoon lang tayo sa naka round off siya to the nearest degree. Okay? So what we are going to solve first is to solve for B. So we know that we are using law of cosines. It's because analyzing the given here, we do have given two sides and an included angle. So sa madaling salita, the angle given in the problem ay pinagigitnaan ng dalawang sides na given. So if that is the case, then we can make use of the law of cosines. Kasi kapag itong measure dito, nandito yan, so may katapat siya, law of sines ang pwede natin gamitin doon. Pero kapag SAS ang given natin, so we can make use of the law of cosines. So let's start solving for B. So unang-una, kunin muna natin yung formula na pwede natin gamitin to solve for B. So it's just so happen na same variables yung ginamit natin on example number 1 doon sa form nating formulas kanina, both for the side and for the angle. So that we can get the formula for finding B, side B there, which is B squared is equal to A squared plus C squared is equal to, minus rather, 2AC cosine B. So take note na kapag ang hinanap natin is the side, the side that we are looking for, square of that, equal to the squares of the sides which are which the square of the other two sides rather, minus twice the product of the other two sides times uh, cosine of the angle opposite that side that we are looking for. So, ayun lagi iisipin natin. So, we can make use of that formula. So, since given naman dun yung A and B as well as the angle B, so what we can do is to substitute those given to the problem to find out for B. Pag sinubstitute natin yan, so magiging ganito. It will be B squared is equal to 7 squared plus B squared. 7 is for A, 5 is for C, then minus 2 times 7 times 5 cosine 60 degrees. That's the value of angle B. Then simplify natin 7 squared and plus 5 squared. Meron tayo dong 7 squared equals 49 while 5 squared equals 25. Then we can add the 2, that's 49 plus 25 will come up with B squared is equal to 74. Minus, we simplify this also, 2 times 7 is 14 times 5 will come up with 70 cosine 60 degrees. So we cannot right away subtract this 2. It's because this 70 is still accompanied by cosine 60 degrees. So what we are going to do is to simplify first this using scientific calculator. But before we simplify that, isabay na natin na alisin yung square dito. That is by getting the square root of both sides of the equation so that the square sign here will be eliminated na mapupunta na dito yung square root sign. Then what we are going to do next is using your scientific calculator, find out the value of 70 cosine 60 degrees. Just press 70, press times, press cos for the symbol for cosine, then press 60, press DMS, then press equals. So you'll find out that 70 cosine 60 degrees is equal to 35. So finding the value of it, so you are now allowed to subtract the 2. So 74 minus 35 now. So 74 minus 35, we come up with 39. That's why magkakaroon tayo ng B is equal to the square root of 39. Then, just find the square root of it. So, hindi na kailangan hanapin pa ng factor. Basta get the square root of it on a scientific calculator. So, just press square root sign, then press 39, then press equals. Then we'll come up with the value of square root of 39, which is equal to B, which is equal to 6.24 centimeters. So, 6.24 centimeters ang value ng B natin. So, yun yung nakuha natin. So, it should be rounded up to 2 decimal places because we are looking for the side. Okay? So, that's how we find the value of B. Now, let's proceed on finding the value of or the measure of angle A. Yung measure naman ng angle A na to. So, ano naman yung measure niya? So, since angle is what we are looking for, so we can make use of the formula for finding the angles. Particularly, we are finding for measure of angle A. So, kunin natin yung formula doon na ang tinutukoy is yung pagkuha ng angle A. So, we can come up with the formula na cosine A is equal to B squared plus C squared minus A squared all over 2BC. Basta kung angle ang hinahanap natin, so cosine of that angle that we are looking for, it will be equal to the sum of the squares of the sides which are not opposite of that angle minus the square of the side opposite that angle all over twice the product of the sides which are not opposite of that angle. So, all we have to do again is to substitute the given there since we already have the value of B. So, we can now make use of that in order for us to find out for the measure of angle A. So, paano? So, just simply substitute it. So, since cosine A is what we're looking for and you still don't know yet the value of A, so it will remain as cosine A. Then 6.24 as the value of B, quantity squared plus A I see is 5 squared minus A is 7 squared all over 2 times 6.24 times 5. And from there, simplify natin yung lahat ng may square dito as well as yung sa denominator na i-multiply. So that will come up with 6.24 squared is equal to 38.94. 5 squared is 25. 7 squared is 49. So all over 2 times 6.24 times 5 is equal to 62.4. So, add natin first yung 2, 38.24 plus 25, yun sa numerator natin, magkakaroon tayo ng cosine A is equal to 63.94 minus 49. Then subtract the numerator, 63.94 minus 49, kakaroon tayo ng 14.94. So, cosine A equal to 14.94 over 62.4. So using yung scientific calculator, since angle is what we are looking for, ang sinabi natin, the first key that you are going to press on a scientific calculator is yung shift or second function. So you have to press shift or second function, then press cosine. Kakaroon ka ng cosine raised to negative 1. Then press parenthesis, open parenthesis, press 14.94, press divide, press 62.4, press close parenthesis, then press equals. So sa mga latest calculator, yung may fraction part ng calculator, just first is press shift or second function, magkakaroon ng lalabas ay cosine raised to negative 1, then press open parenthesis, then press fraction, key in on the numerator part 14.94 while on the denominator 62.4, then press close parenthesis, then press equals. So ang lalabas doon ay measure ng angle A which is equal to 76.15 degrees. So 76.15 degrees yun, which is still in decimals. Diba sabi natin, yung answer natin when we are pertaining to the angle is in terms of degree or to the nearest degree. So since 0.15 pa lang, so that means we are going to round down. So still, we come up with the measure of angle A. If we're going to round that up to the nearest degree, it will be equal to the measure of angle A, which is equal to 76 degrees. So this angle A measures 76 degrees. Now, yung last natin na hinahanap is measure of angle C. So to find the measure of the third angle, you don't have to apply this formula in finding the measure of the third angle. Since you do have two angles na known, which are known, so we can now find out for the third angle by knowing that the sum of the interior angles of a triangle is equal to 180 degrees. So, to find for the measure of angle C, so the measure of angle C plus 60 degrees, ayun yun, measure of angle B plus 76 degrees, ito yung nakuha natin, is equal to 180 degrees dapat ang total. So add for 60 plus 76 will come up with 136 degrees. So move yung 136 degrees to the right side of the equation, so its sign will change, magiging from plus, magiging minus, so magiging measure of angle C, which is equal to 180 degrees minus 136 degrees. So just simply subtract the two, simple subtraction will come up with the measure of angle C, which is equal to 44 degrees. So in problem number 1, the value of B, side B is 6.24 centimeters, while the value of the measure of angle A is 76 degrees, and the measure of angle C is equal to 44 degrees. So that's how we answer problem number 1 using law of cosines. Is there any question so far? So if none so far, let's proceed on answering another example. So let's have example number 2 here. So we do have a given triangle here. But as you can see in the given triangle, ang mga given natin are, ang mga given values natin are those values of the sides. So you do have here triangle XYZ. So angle side X measures 17 meters, side Y measures 10 meters, while side Z measures 14 meters. So obviously, ang given natin ay 3 sides. So what we can apply here are the cosine law. So we can apply the cosine law here in order for us to find out for the measures that we are looking for in the problem. So ano yung hinahanap natin in the problem? So we are looking for the measures of angle X, angle Y, and angle Z. So since 3 sides are given, so what we are looking for are the measure of the 3 angles. So, balik tayo doon sa angles. So, di ba sabi natin kanina, doon sa pinorm natin formulas, so, yung variable natin doon are subject to change depending on the given problem. So, ang given triangle natin dito is triangle X, Y, Z. So, instead of using ABC, we're going to make use of X, Y, Z this time. So, for our solution, the first thing we are going to do is to solve for the measure of angle X. So, since angle X is what we are looking for, diba, since angle is what we are looking for, so, that angle, so cosine of it, ang nahanap natin. So, we are going to use cosine. So, it should be cosine X. So, cosine X is equal to the sum of the squares of the sides which are not opposite of that angle. So, that is Y and Z. Y squared plus Z squared minus the side opposite, the square of the side opposite that angle, that is 17 or X squared, over, all over 2 times the sides which are not opposite of that angle. So that we can form this formula. So cosine X is equal to Y squared plus Z squared minus X squared all over 2YZ. So all we have to do is to substitute the given in the problem. So since we still don't know yet the value of angle X, so it will remain cosine X. Cosine X will be equal to Y is 10, so it should be 10 squared, plus Z is 14, it should be 14 squared, minus X is 17, it should be 17 squared, all over 2 times 10 times 14. Kung ano yung naundong dalawa doon, ayun lang ilalagay natin dito on the denominator part. Then simplify, 10 squared, 14 squared, and 17 squared. So magkakaroon tayo ng ito as well as yung the denominator part. 10 squared is 100. plus 14 squared is 196, minus 17 squared is 289. All over, 2 times 10 is 20, times 14, it will be equal to 280. So add first yung first two here, 100 plus 196, we come up with 296. So cosine x equal to 296 minus 289 all over 280. So 296 minus 289, just simply subtract that, we come up with 7. So magkakaroon tayo ng cosine x is equal to 7 over 280. And again, using your scientific calculator, and since we are looking for the measure of the angle, the first thing we are going to do is to press shift or second function. So just follow me. Press shift or second function, press cosine. Ang lalabas ay cosine raised to negative 1. Then press open parenthesis, press 7, press divided by symbol, press 280, press close parenthesis, then press equals. Doon naman sa mga latest calculator na may fraction, una press shift or second function, then press cosine. Magiging cosine raised to negative 1, then press open parenthesis, press fraction, key in on the numerator 7, while on the denominator ay 280. Then close parenthesis, then press equals. So that you'll come up with the value or the value of or the measure of angle x as measure of angle x, which is equal to 88.57 degrees. Since the angle is what we are looking for, so we have to round up the angle to the nearest degree. So 88.57 to the nearest degree tayo. Usually the degree is the whole number in the given decimals. So that is 88. And since 0.5 yon, so we are going to round up. So therefore, we can say that the measure of angle x is equal to 89 degrees. The measure of angle x in example number 2 is equal to 89 degrees. Next, we already know the measure of angle x, two angles more. So this time, let's find out for the measure of angle y. So for angle y, so magbuo ulit tayo ng formula since angle y is what we are looking for, so it should be cosine y equal to the squares, the sum of the squares of the two sides which are not opposite of angle y, which is x and z. So x squared plus z squared minus the square of the side opposite that angle, that would be y squared, all over 2xz, twice the product of the two sides which are not opposite of that angle. So that we can form this formula. So cosine y is equal to x squared plus z squared minus y squared all over 2xz. So substituting the given in the formula, so we'll come up with cosine y is equal to x is 17, so it should be 17 squared, z is 14, so it should be 14 squared, minus y is 10. So it should be 10 squared all over 2 times 17 times 14. Kung ano yung dalawang nauna. Then simplify sa numerator part as well as the denominator. We'll come up with cosine y is equal to 17 squared is 289 plus 14 squared is 196 minus 10 squared is 100. Over 2 times 17 times 14, you'll come up with 476. So simplify first the first two here on the numerator part. 289 plus 196, it will be equal to 485. Then subtract 485 minus 100, so you'll have cosine y is equal to 385 over 476. And again, since we are looking for the angle, using your scientific calculator, again, first thing we are going to do is to press shift or second function, then press open parenthesis, press 385, press divide symbol, then press 476, press close parenthesis, then press equals. Sa mga bagong calculator naman, so press shift or press second function, nakalimutan natin cosine. Press cosine para magkaroon ng cosine raised to negative 1, press open parenthesis, press fraction, key in on the numerator 385, while on the denominator that would be 476, then close parenthesis, Then, press equals. So again, doon sa una, sa mga luma na calculator, press shift or second function, press cosine, para magkaroon ng cosine raised to -1, press open parenthesis, press 385, press divide, press 476, press close parenthesis, then press equals. So you'll find out the measure of angle Y, which is equal to 36.02 degrees. So we are going to round that off to the nearest degree, so it will be equal to 36 degrees. So the measure of angle Y is equal to 36 degrees. So ito ngayon ay 36 degrees. So isa na lang. We are looking for the measure of angle Z. So for angle Z, since we already know the measures of the two angles, so we can apply now what we have applied on the first example. Na given yung two angles, so we can find out now the third angle by simply knowing that the total measures of the interior angles of the triangle is equal to 180 degrees. So for the measure of angle Z, so measure of angle Z plus 89 degrees, ito yon, plus 36 degrees, equal to 180 degrees. Then add the two, 89 plus 36 degrees, that will be 89 plus 36 degrees is 125 degrees. So move yung 125 to the right side of the equation, magiging minus, so that would be 180 minus 125. So therefore, you can say that the measure of angle Z is equal to 55 degrees. So that's how we answer example number 2. So given the three measures of the size of that triangle, we can come up with the measure of the three angles, which is the measure of angle X equal to 89 degrees, measure of angle Y is equal to 36 degrees, while measure of angle Z is equal to 55 degrees. So any questions? So let's proceed to example number 3. So for example number 3, this is the given triangle. So as you can see, sa given triangle natin, that's triangle RHC. So given yung measure ng side H, which is 75 centimeters, while side R measures 52 centimeters, then measure ng angle C is 40 degrees. So analyzing our given, so as you can see, ang given natin dyan ay SAS. Side, angle, side. Dalawang sides na yung angle na given ay pinagigitaan ng dalawang sides na given. So, if that is the case, if that is our given, that means we can make use of the law of cosines. So, what we are looking for in the problem is to find for side C, the measure of angle R, and the measure of angle H. Same pa rin for the side, we are going to round off to 2 decimal places, while for the angle, to the nearest degree. So let's start solving for it. So for our solution, let's start first solving for C. Typo lang yan, it should be C. So yung side C muna ang hinahanap natin. So for side C, so we can make use of the formula. Pwede natin gumamit ng, so since C is what we are looking for, so it should be C squared is equal to the square of the other two sides. The sum of the square of the other two sides, that is H squared plus R squared minus 2HR cosine C. So makaka-form tayo ng ganitong formula. So that should be C squared equals to H squared plus R squared minus 2HR cosine C. Nag-start ka sa C, mag-end ka sa C. So with the following given, all we have to do is to substitute it to find for the value of side C. So for H, that would be 75. For R, that would be 52. While for cosine C here, that would be for angle C, which is 40 degrees. So pag ginawa natin yan, magiging ganito. It should be C squared is equal to 75 squared. That's for H. H, then plus 52 squared for R, minus 2 times 75 times 52 cosine 40 degrees. So simplify natin yung may square dyan as well as this. Kaya natin masimplify yun. So 52, 75 squared and 52 squared, then 2 times 75 times 52. So we'll come up with 75 squared is 5,625. 52 squared, that would be 2,704. That's 52 times 52 or 75 times 75 for the first one. Then 2 times 75 times 52, you'll come up with 7,800. Then attach cosine 40 degrees. Then we can add these two. Pwede natin may add yon because parehas naman silang constant, 5,625 plus 2,704, magkakaroon tayo ng 8,329 minus 7,800 cosine 40 degrees. Hindi pa natin pwede masubtract to kasi may kasama siyang cosine 40 degrees. So, gawin natin, tanggalin muna natin yung square sign here by getting the square root of both sides. So, magiging C na lang yon kasi cancel out na yung square root sign as well as the square. Magiging square root of 8,329 minus 7,800 cosine 40 degrees. On your scientific calculator, simplify first this. So, just press 7,800, press times, press cosine, press 40, then press DMS, then last press equals. So, mga makabagong calculator, pwede nang diretso kahit wala na yung times. So, press 700, cosine 40, DMS, then equals. You'll come up with the value of it as 5,975.15. Itong value na to, ito yung alalabasan kapag kinuha mo to ang scientific calculator. Then 8,329 minus 5,975.15, pwede na, it's because para sa silang constant, so nagiging 2,353.85. So what we are going to do is to use scientific calculator, get the square root of it. Square root of 2,353.85 will come up with the value of C, which is equal to 48.52 centimeters. So ang value daw ng side C na to is 48.52 centimeters. Centimeters yon because the unit of measurement involved in the problem is in terms of centimeters. So we already find out now the value of C. Now let's find out for the measure of angle R. So for the measure of angle R, so since angle R is what we are looking for, so it should be cosine R. Tama? Cosine R is equal to the sum of the squares of the sides which are not opposite that angle. That would be angle side C and side H. So C squared plus H squared minus the square of the side opposite the angle. That would be R squared. Okay? Then all over 2CH. That's why mapo-form natin yung formula na to na cosine R equals C squared plus H squared minus R squared all over 2CH. Then what we're going to do is to substitute the values of that given. So since we know already the value of C, which is 48.52, we can now make use of it here. So substituting it, magkakaroon tayo ng cosine R equal to 48.52, which is the value of C, plus 75, which is the value of H, 75 squared, minus 52 squared all over 2 times 48.52 times 75. So we can simplify both numerator and denominator there. So 48.52 squared, 75 squared, and 52 squared, magkakaroon tayo ng 48.52 squared is equal to 2,354.19 plus 75 squared is 5,625 minus 52 squared is equal to 2,704 all over 2 times 48.52 times 75 is equal to 7,278. So add muna natin yung first two on the numerator. So we'll come up with 2,354.19 plus 5,625 is equal to 7,979.19. So minus 2,704 all over 7,278. Subtract the numerator, magiging cosine R is equal to 7,979.19 minus 2,704 is equal to 5,275.19. Then divided by 7,278. So, to solve for measure of angle R, again, using your scientific calculator, press shift first or second function, press cosine, come up with cosine raised to -1, press open parenthesis, press 5,275.19, press divided by, press 7,278, press close parenthesis, then press equals. So sa bagong calculator na may fraction, press shift or second function, press cosine for cosine -1, press open parenthesis, press fraction, key in on the numerator 5,275.19 while on the denominator 7,278. Then press close parenthesis, then press equals. You'll find out for the measure of angle R as 43.55 degrees. So round that up to the nearest degree, so it should be equal to 44 degrees. So the measure of angle R is equal to 44 degrees. Next, isa na lang. We are looking for last for the measure of angle H. So since we already know the two measures of the angle, so we can find out the measure of the third angle. Again, that is by knowing that the sum of the interior angles of a triangle is equal to 180 degrees. So that would be measure of angle H plus 40 degrees, yun, plus 44 degrees is equal to 180 degrees. Add the two, 40 plus 44, you'll come up with 84 degrees. So move yung 84 degrees to the right side of the equation, magiging minus, that would be 180 minus 84. So subtract it, 180 minus 84, you'll come up with 96 degrees. So the measure of angle H is equal to 96 degrees. So with that given triangle, we find out for the measure of C, side C, which is 48.52 centimeters, measure of angle R, which is equal to 44 degrees, while measure of angle H, which is equal to 96 degrees. So that's how we answer example number 3. Any questions? So if none, let's proceed again on answering another example. So I guess this is already the last example. So let's have example number 4 here. So let's take a look at the given example number 4. So we do have here triangle DEF this time. Triangle DEF with the given measure for side D as 20 meters, side E as 35 meters, and side F is equal to 18 meters. So what we are going to find out is the measure of the three angles. Find out for the measure of the three angles. That measure of angle D, angle E, and angle F. So unahin natin to find for the measure of angle D. Obviously, we can make use of law of cosines because the given are three sides. So first, let's find out for the measure of angle D. Since angle is what we are looking for, again, we are going to form again the formula for finding to find for the measure of angle D. So it should be cosine D is equal to the sum of the squares of the sides which are not opposite that angle. That would be E and F, E squared plus F squared, minus the square of the side opposite the angle. That would be D squared all over 2 twice the product of the sides which are not opposite of that angle. So that's why makaka-form tayo ng cosine D equal to E squared plus F squared minus D squared all over 2EF. So, substituting the given in the problem, so we'll come up with cosine D is equal to E is 35, that would be 35 squared, plus F is 18, that should be 18 squared, minus D is 20, that should be 20 squared, all over 2 times 35 times 18, yung dalawang nauna. Then, we can simplify both numerator and denominator, so that will come up with cosine D equal to 35 squared is 1,225 plus 18 squared is 324 minus 20 squared is 400 all over 2 times 35 times 18 is equal to 1,260. Then simplify the first two on the numerator. So we'll come up with 1,549. So cosine is equal to 1,225 plus 324 is 1,549. Minus 400 all over 1,260. Again, simplify the numerator. Kakaroon ka ng cosine D is equal to 1,549 minus 400 is 1,149 over 1,260. And since you are looking for the angle again, so on your scientific calculator, again, press shift or second function, press cosine, kakaroon ng cosine raised to negative 1, press open parenthesis, press 1149, press divide, press 1260, press close parenthesis, then press equals. So, sa bagong calculator, press shift or second function, press cosine or cosine raised to negative 1, press open parenthesis, press fraction, on the numerator, key in 1149, but on the denominator, you have to key in 1260, then close parenthesis, then press equals. So you'll find out the measure of angle D, which is equal to 24.23 degrees. So if you're going to round that up to the nearest degree, so it will be equal to measure of angle D, which is equal to 24 degrees. So angle D measures 24 degrees. Next, let's find out for the measure of angle E. Again, this time another angle is what we are looking for. So we form again the formula. So cosine E is equal to the opposite, the square of the sum of the two sides which are not opposite of that angle. That would be D and F. So D squared plus F squared minus the side opposite that angle, the square of the side opposite that angle, that would be E squared, all over 2 twice the product of the side which are not opposite of that angle, that would be D and F, 2DF. So that makaka-form tayo ng formula na cosine E equal to D squared plus F squared minus E squared all over 2DF. Then with the given in the problem, just simply substitute it. We come out with cosine is equal to 20 squared for the value of D plus 18 for the value of F, that's 18 squared, minus for the value of E, that's 35 squared, all over 2 times 20 times 18. So ito yung dalawang nauna. Then simplify both numerator and denominator. So we'll have cosine E equal to 20 squared is 400 plus 18 squared is 324 minus 35 squared is 1,225 all over 720. So simplify the first two on the numerator. So we'll come up cosine E is equal to 400 plus 324 is 724 minus 1,225 all over 720. Subtract the numerator. Nagkaroon tayo ng cosine E is equal to 724 minus 1,225. It will be equal to negative 501 over 720. And again, from here, using your scientific calculator, and since we are looking for the angle, so dumunta sa medyo lumang calculator. So press shift or second function, press cosine for cosine raised to negative 1, press open parenthesis, press negative 501, press divide, press 720, press close parenthesis, then press equals. Then for the new calculators there, so you do have press shift or second function, press cosine for cosine raised to negative 1, press open parenthesis, press fraction, press on the numerator part key in negative 501, on the denominator 720, press close parenthesis, then press equals. So you'll find out for the value of angle E as 134.09 degrees. So if we're going to round that up to the nearest degree, it will be equal to the measure of angle E, which is equal to 134 degrees. Lastly, for the measure of angle F, since two measures of the angles are already known, so we can find out now for the measure of the third angle. That is again by knowing that the sum of the measures of the interior angles of a triangle is equal to 180 degrees. So it will be measure of angle X plus 24 degrees. Yun yung una. Plus 134 degrees is equal to 180 degrees. Add the two. So magkakaroon ka ng 24 degrees plus 134 degrees. That will be equal to 158 degrees. Move yung 158 to the right side of the equation. So magkakaroon tayo ng measure of angle F is equal to 180 degrees minus 158. Then 180 degrees minus 158 is equal to 22 degrees. So therefore, the measure of angle F is equal to 22 degrees. So from example number 4, with the given measure of the three sides, we can find out for the measure of the three angles, wherein the measure of angle D is equal to 24 degrees, measure of angle E is equal to 134 degrees, and the measure of angle F is equal to 22 degrees. So that's how we answer example number 4. So is there any questions? So if there are none, that would be all for today. Nagustuhan nyo yung video na to, so just hit like, share this video, and also subscribe IGOP Lord official channel. So, importante is for you to subscribe the IGOP Lord official channel. And also, don't forget to comment down below if you do have anything to say. So, hanggang sa muli, goodbye!